We had more eliminations in week 4, so it's time for the playoff eliminator. Actually, a lot more eliminations this past weekend than in week 3. There were a lot of teams that got knocked out. Still, we have not eliminated a Power 5 team. Maybe if Florida State had lost on Saturday, maybe we could have eliminated them. But so far, we've not been able to do that. Maybe next week we'll start breaking this down by conference and looking at who is still alive. Or kind of where everyone stands in each conference, because I understand all the Group 5 teams kind of get jumbled together. But let's go ahead and give you the previously eliminated teams. These teams were eliminated before this week. You can see the full list here. And again, we've got a lot more eliminations this week. Take a look. Appalachian State, Arkansas State, Ball State, Bowling Green, Charlotte, FAU, Georgia Southern, Louisiana Tech, Marshall, Nevada, Ohio, Rice, and Utah State. And you almost wonder, I'll circle back to Bowling Green, because they lost a close game to Penn State, because they lost a close game to Texas A&M, if they were to win out, would a 2-loss MAC champion have a chance? That's interesting. Before we got into this, of course, I said that a 2-loss MAC team, a 2-loss Conference USA team, a 2-loss Sun Belt team, those teams really would have no chance. And then if you're in the American or the Mountain West, you can get to 3 losses. But if you lose 3 games, you're probably not going to get in as that at-large team, that Group of 5 team. So keep an eye on Bowling Green. If they were to run the table, it'll be interesting to see what the committee would do with them. Again, playing 2 quality of Power 4 opponents closely, that could be interesting. But we're going to stick to our rule here and go ahead and eliminate them. And again, these teams all have been eliminated as we head into week 5. So yeah, there's not a lot to talk about. We can kind of leave the playoff race now. And again, I'll try to start breaking this down by conference, especially as we start eliminating some Power 4 teams, which could start happening this weekend. I don't know really how many. If you look at the SEC or the Big Ten, really I think 4 losses probably eliminates you. If you have 3 conference losses or 4 losses overall, I think you're probably out of it there. If you're in the Big 12 or the ACC, I mean, 4 losses, you could still potentially win the conference. So it's going to take a lot to start eliminating teams in those 2 conferences. But we'll start with the SEC. I have made a move here. I put Texas in the favorites, or excuse me, Tennessee in the favorites. I mentioned that last week. So yeah, Alabama's been here, Georgia's been here, Texas has been here, Ole Miss has been here, but I've moved Tennessee into the favorites with a big win over Oklahoma. This team looks like a team that could very well win this conference. They're playing great football, and so yes, the Vols are definitely, in my opinion, a favorite. Now we've got 5 favorites. This is going to be a fun race in the SEC. It's not like, coming into this year, I really felt like it was Georgia and Texas and maybe Ole Miss. Alabama's looked really good. Tennessee's looked really good. So these are your favorites. And then we've also got some other top at-large contenders, LSU, Missouri, and Texas A&M. You can say, no chance for these teams, but you look at the schedules, the way their schedule sets up, these teams could go 10-2 still. I know LSU has a loss. I know Texas A&M has a loss, but their schedules do set up really well. LSU, they get Ole Miss at home. They get Alabama at home. Texas and Missouri have very favorable schedules. So I think that these 3 teams are still in. I don't see any of them winning the SEC, but I think that they are still potential candidates to get an at-large spot. So let's keep an eye on those 3 teams. In the Big Ten, we've got Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon. These are the favorites. I moved USC off of this line after a loss to Michigan, but they could still win it. This doesn't mean these are the only teams that can win it. But these, to me, are the favorites. I really like the way the schedule sets up for Penn State especially. So I think they have a good shot to get to the Big Ten championship. And then Ohio State and Oregon. I think we finally saw a couple of weeks ago against Oregon State what this Oregon team is going to be capable of. And we'll see once they get into Big Ten conference play. And then your top at-large contenders, you got Michigan, Iowa, and USC. These are the teams that I think could get in at 10-2 potentially. Maybe even 9-3 for Michigan or USC because of their schedules. Iowa has no chance at 9-3. 9-3 Iowa does not get into the college football playoff, but 10-2 they could get in. I don't think it's a guarantee when you look at how that's actually what I predicted preseason. I picked Iowa to go 10-2 but not make the playoff, so that could happen. We'll see. But yeah, Michigan, USC, Iowa, those are your top at-large contenders. And then we go to the ACC favorites here. Clemson, Miami, Louisville. I don't know if Louisville is in this category. I have not seen enough. I think Clemson and Miami are definitely here. Louisville maybe is here. I don't see anyone else in the ACC. I mean, who do you see in this conference that could challenge these three teams and possibly win the ACC championship? I don't see anyone. I just don't think that there's a team out there. Maybe someone emerges. Pitt's undefeated. Maybe they prove me wrong and they become a contender. But I think these are your favorites right here. Again, Clemson, Miami, and Louisville. And then we go to the Big 12. Utah is the favorite. I mean, I said this in the takeaways video. It seems like the Big 12 is going to run through Utah this season. Based off what we've seen so far, this is clearly the best team. Not saying they're guaranteed to win it, but they are the team to beat. And then you've got a bunch of dark horse teams, Oklahoma State, BYU, Kansas State, UCF, Iowa State. Maybe there's more teams that could be in this category. I don't know, but this is going to be an interesting race. Let's say Utah does kind of, I won't say run the table. Let's say they go like 11-1 or 10-2, and they're like clearly that top team. The battle for that number 2 team in this conference, I mean, it could be a 3-4 loss team, no doubt about it. I would not shock me if we saw an 8-4 team in the Big 12 championship. I think there's so much parity in this conference, and really no one has separated themselves except for possibly Utah. But yeah, how about BYU being in this conversation? We'll see if they can keep it up. These other teams, though, all I think have that potential. So that's the updated playoff race, playoff picture, I should say, with some new eliminations this week. I'm sure the eliminations will start to pick up in the Power 4 soon, and we'll break it all down for you next week. Give me your comments on all of this and the playoff picture down below.